Wait, okay.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This is GFan84, and I'm here with my panelists. We are going to be talking about the Monsterverse, Godzilla 2014, which is what started the entire Monsterverse, and looking to have a nice discussion. With me today are Geeky Pixie.
Hello.
Orange Hat Reviews.
Hey, y'all.
Mongo's Big Thinks.
Hello.
And Fadsalvation.
Hello.
Fade in. Fade in. Should have said fade in.
in.
Yeah,
Fade
there
in.
Fade in.
you go. Yeah, fade in. Yeah. And want to welcome the sexy goth girl. Thank you for coming on to watch the stream. And Crimson Garu. How dare you
Oh,
know not
yeah,
involved me? I
Gar,
thought we were.
yeah.
Oh, is someone you know?
Yeah, he's someone I know.
Okay.
Hey, not with that
Well,
kind of picture.
why do you think I sent the word out everywhere if I didn't want to involve you, Garu?
Well, I mean, wait. Just judging from someone's profile picture doesn't mean it's a guy or a girl. Pronouns, guys.
If you
Pronouns.
talk, if you talk to the person regularly, you know who they are.
Oh, that's true. True. Alrighty. So first off, let me give a brief explanation about Godzilla 2014. This movie was released on the 60th anniversary of Godzilla. It is the first movie of Legendary's Godzilla. It was distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, and it actually did very well in the box office, considering what happened with the previous American Godzilla, which is Godzilla '98, which most Godzilla fans don't really
Isn't
speak of.
it like Voldemort, the one that shall not be named?
Yeah, pretty
Zilla.
much.
It's not even
Zilla,
Godzilla anymore. It's
yeah.
just called Zilla.
It's just Zilla, yeah, because Toho bought the rights to it just to kill him.
Yeah,
essentially.
they bought the rights, and in less than 5 seconds of that monster being on screen, it was
I
dead.
remember that.
Yeah, on Final Wars.
I'm going to buy that movie the second it goes on sale for digital purpose.
Yeah, it was very good. So, like I said, back in I believe it was 2009 or 2010, there were already rumors circulating about new American Godzilla movie. And then Legendary announced that they had bought the rights a couple of years later. And it was actually due to the fact that a really intense negotiations with Toho. Toho is the parent company of the Godzilla movies, and they own the rights to it. And there was a lot of negotiation and intense negotiation because of what happened with Godzilla '98. They were very, very protective of the property, and like I said, originally, the rights were actually bought a few years earlier, but with the negotiations, they had to kind of forego and wait to be in development. So that being said, I'm going to briefly talk about. I'm going to go and do a review the movie, and then we'll stop and discuss in between time, after a few scenes. So the movie starts out. You get a montage in the opening credits of pictures of sea monsters and the myths and legends of even ancient Greece, and then goes into showing Godzilla's dorsal fins, rising out of the water.
Operation Lucky Dragon was actually a real thing.
Yep, Operation Lucky Dragon.
They incorporated it in there.
Yeah, and then it culminates with the Castle Bravo nuclear test, which, as it's explained in the movie, it wasn't a test. It was actually to kill the monsters, essentially. Now, in the comic, there's actually two monsters. There's Godzilla, and then Shinamura. Yeah, I knew. I was trying to make sure I spelled it right, pronounced it right. It was Shinamura. So the movie doesn't actually go into it, but the prequel comic essentially says there were two. It was Godzilla and Shinamura. Shinamura dies in the actual blast, but Godzilla still survives. Then we fast forward in the movie to a helicopter scene, which is very reminiscent of Jurassic Park. And there we see Dr. Vivian Graham and Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. Serizawa is looking at his pocket watch, which will then come later on back to that. So they're flying over the Philippines. They land and they see that the Philippine government, they were trying to excavate nuclear material to become more, independent without having to worry about fossil fuels. Because if they found, nuclear material, they can actually be more self-sufficient. Well, as you see in the movie, the whole excavation just collapsed and a big sinkhole opened up. But what was interesting is that more radiation is being released once the cave opens. So we see Dr. Graham and Dr. Serizawa go with a team from Monarch. They go in, they light up the cavern, and as you see all the bones of a gigantic creature. And immediately Dr. Graham says, "Is it him?" And Dr. Serizawa says, "No, this one's older." And so it essentially explained that that's the same species as Godzilla, but not Godzilla himself. And
That one
then,
was Dagon.
yeah, Dagon, yeah, from the comics later on.
Aftershock.
Yep. And then we see two spores that they see, but one is broken open. And then they notice that through the cavern, something had escaped. And you see the aftermath. You see like the something had escaped. Whether it doesn't really show the larva form in the movie, but there's been art saying what essentially was like a larva form.
Yeah.
It's in the water, and then it makes a beeline right to Japan. So now we get the scene where we see Ford, Brian,
He was waking up.
Yep, waking up. And we get a little tracking shot of almost things to come. You see these dinosaur figures, then you see these tanks, you see the military, and then you see a mock poster of almost essentially what the Godzilla posters were like back in the Showa era. And that, I thought that was a nice little montage. We then get a brief scene with Bryan Cranston and his wife. Oh, I can never remember her name. The French.
Are you talking about the actress's real name or her character
actress
name?
in real life. She's a French actress. Darn,
I see Juliette Binoche. I
Oh,
don't exactly know how
Juliette
to
Binoche.
pronounce that last name, but yeah.
How do you spell it?
She's French.
Binoche.
Binoche.
Hmm.
Yep, Binoche.
Binoche. Yeah, and so, they're we see that Ford's son, he wants to surprise his dad for his birthday, but Bryan Cranston's character, he's like more concerned about what's happening at the nuclear power plant called Jinjira. That's where they are in Japan. And, Ford goes to school, and then we track to whichever. And then we get the scene at the actual nuclear facility. So what he's saying is there's a pattern. They think it's earthquakes. They think it's aftershocks. But he said, no, earthquakes don't move, and this is in the pattern sort of thing. So essentially right then and there, it's something not related to an earthquake. And we see Bryan Cranston's wife. She goes down with a team to check out, what's been happening. And then suddenly all hell breaks loose, and there's a big, rumbling. The power plant starts to collapse a bit. And then nuclear radiation in a mist form, I guess that's the way they kind of had to visualize it for the audience, because radiation itself is invisible to the naked eye, unless it's really high concentrations of it. So we see Bryan Cranston, he has to go down. He has to, be at the door shutters. He wants to try to wait for her, and he keeps calling for her, and then you see the cloud of radiation, coming straight for him, and him screaming, and then hitting the button to seal the radiation in. Right after he does that, you see the team that his wife was with started pounding on the door, but he can't open it. And then he sees his wife, who then, knowing she's going to die, takes off her mask, and she understands, but it's still kind of like a heartbreaking scene. We see him, Bryan Cranston really shook up over this, and then suddenly you hear this roar, and also the nuclear plant collapses. We also again get to see Ford in the classroom, and there's a big evacuation, and he sees like the nuclear power plant start to, crumble. And then we get, after that, then we get a fast forward scene to where, Ford is now an adult. So what did you guys think of the opening scene?
I thought it was pretty good. Considering, it had a powerful impact to it. I mean, especially in the opening, because you see Bryan Cranston's character kind of just, being a family man, and then that just all gets rocked the same morning.
Yeah.
Basically, the Operation Lucky Dragon was the cool part, where they incorporated a real part of history into it.
Right.
And then you actually see the fall up, or the shockwave up to the camera, and then a kind of nuclear winter ash fall into, or that says Godzilla. The Janjir, or the Philippine mine, was pretty cool. When they I wish that they could have shown a Godzilla skull. That would have been cool.
That would,
Yeah.
But
that would be cool.
They were not going up towards Godzilla's front. They were actually going towards his belly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when they were talking about the earthquakes, and Cranston literally has his son is literally trying to put up the birthday sign, but he's too busy because of the earthquakes, or not an earthquake, but a tremor system and whatnot. And I love how they're explaining it. It's like seismic anomaly. This is X's minutes. This is not days. This is now. And the other American guy is like, what, you talking about earthquakes? No, earthquakes are jagged, random. This is a pattern. And I love how they actually do incorporate a small little business sake into it. And we'll get into that one. Cranston's, he played that so well. He's like, are we at full function? Yes, but perhaps we should be drawing down just to be safe. He's like, or then there's another quake. Take us offline. No, Joe, take us offline. The fact that you literally see Bryan Cranston just book it down to that place. It's like, man, even if I was spry, I could not run that fast. Nor could I. Well, I probably could, considering adrenaline and all that other stuff. But yeah, he played that so well when when he was looking at his wife and the rest of them dying, and she's like, or they're all beating on the door. She's like, get the hell out of my way. I want to say goodbye to my husband. And tell him to take care, or be a good father and whatnot.
And the other guys are just like completely calm and mellow, letting her say her goodbyes to.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding? They would be beaten, or any other person would be beaten on. Haven't seen this version of Godzilla. Saw Geeky Pixie tweet the stream. I figured I would support her and whoever's on the panel. Well, that is awesome. Phil, TMNT.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here, Phil.
Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. But the Philippine mine and the Janjira thing, seeing the Janjira tower, or the nuclear towers go down, I have actually seen a tower or a nuclear tower go down before. Thankfully, that tower was, or that entire nuclear thing was decommissioned, and they finally got all the crap out of there and at Yucca. But seeing one of those suckers collapse, it's like, whew, you don't want to be there if that was really radiate, or if there was radiation.
Mhm.
But it truly was a great scene to see, and it truly, or Bryan Cranston did a hell of a job.
That he did.
Mongo, what you think?
Gotta say, I love that introduction. You know, obviously the opening credits. I like the music too in this. The
Yep.
I
Yep.
love that. Great stuff. Kind of, you know, interweaving. You're helping build up your universe through pulling inspiration from the sources of, you know, mythology, putting that in the credits. That was great. Um, you had the Philippines. That was fun. I really do appreciate Sally Hawkins as Dr. Graham. Love that
Yes.
actress.
Yes.
Phenomenal actress. Ken Watanabe. I mean, what can you say? He was amazing. He's great. And of course, we have Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston's amazing acting, as we've already said. Just quite a great way to start out your movie. There's a lot of mystery there. There's a lot of suspense too. I think it was very well done.
All right.
Sorry about that. My phone is going off.
Babe, do you get to say something?
Oh, no. No, it's just chuckling.
Okay. So, real quick, and to give a bit of backstory, don't forget, Bryan Cranston was just fresh off his role from Breaking Bad. So, him being hired, even for this small role, was a huge, deal. And what I think led to a bit more people going to see this movie. Even though he didn't have that many scenes in this movie, all the scenes that he does really, honestly, make the rest of the cast kind of look subdued. With the exception
Yes.
of
Yeah,
like
they
with the exception of like Ken Watanabe, though. But I mean, all the rest of the cast just seems subdued compared to his acting.
exactly because honestly, when it comes to all the other casting that they did, even Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen, I
Elizabeth
think, right?
Olsen,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the other actors and actresses that were part of the military, the one that plays Admiral Stenz, I've seen him in several different movies.
Oh yeah,
Or-
he's in a lot of movies.
yeah, he was also in the Bourne movies, and it's like he's also a good actor in his own right, but even his character he just doesn't carry enough weight as Bryan Cranston. Bryan
Yeah.
Cranston, as long as he was on the screen, he commanded the respect, and
Yes.
it was truly great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so now we can get back into the movie here. Now we see Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, Ford. He's grown up. He has a wife. He has a child. Ironically, later on, in a different universe, they're brother and sister.
Talk about weird.
Yeah, yeah, in a different universe. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so so Ford and his wife and his son, he gets back from deployment. He's looking for some R&R, maybe some fun in the bed too. And then suddenly, Elizabeth Olsen's character gets a phone call, and she finds out that Ford's dad has been arrested in Japan. So immediately he has to go back to Japan and pretty much break his pay for his dad to get out of prison. So we then shoot to Ford getting to Japan. He sees his dad after all these years. And Bryan Cranston's character, he's kind of almost become, one of those paranoid, conspiracy theorists. They go back to his house, and he even says, "I don't get many visitors," and it's just covered with different, newspaper clippings about Janjira. Then he's looking up echolocation. He's looking up, saying that there's these sounds. He's trying to figure out, what actually happened. And Ford's like, I can't keep, you can't keep doing this. Hey, your grandson misses his grandpa. And then he reveals to Ford that, he's the one who sent his wife down there. He's the one who sent her to, essentially.
If I may interject, he does give a brilliant speech when they finally arrive, and he's like, or after his son yells at him and whatnot, he's like, "Your mother's still out there, Ford. To me, she'll always be out there. They evacuated us so quickly, I don't even have a picture of her." Can you imagine 15 years after your spouse has passed, regardless of how old you are, your memory does start to will start to deteriorate around the edges of that loved one.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how well your memory is, no matter how great of health you are in, you will start to lose the memory over them.
Yes.
And to not be able to have something to keep you anchored to that memory, except for, well, the son, but sure, but that's not the same as seeing her. And
exactly,
it's just such a beautiful thing. He's like, I did everything I could, right? You know that. And it was beautiful. But yes, sorry to, yeah.
Oh, no. See, again, that's why we were saying, like, every moment of monologue that he has is just like makes all the rest of the characters seem like they're not even there or aren't even acting. They're almost doing a terrible job.
Yep. And when his son tells him, which is the part you were getting to, why can't you just let her rest? Because I'm the one who sent her down there. Can you imagine that kind of guilt?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. It's just nuts. Anybody who has to deal with that guilt, they are and keep on keeping on. Massive respect to those people because they choose to continue even with that guilt is on them like such a weight.
Yeah.
It's like one ring kind of weight the closer you get to Mordor.
Yeah. And I think, well, coming up in the later scene here, I think he had one of the most powerful speeches when we'll get to that in a minute, but where he just completely, screams it out, like all of the pain and suffering. He screams it out finally. But getting back into the movie so we can get to that brilliant scene, Ford stays there. He wakes up. He sees that, his dad's talking to somebody. He doesn't say who, just talking to somebody. And he pretty much convinces, Ford to come with him into Janjira, into the, radiation zone.
Mm-hmm.
So they go by boat and they sneak into the city and they're wearing all the protective gear and everything else. But he starts to see like life there. He sees that, the buildings have like, flowers and trees and all that intertwined on it. And he gets this idea and, Ford's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He, Bryan Cranston starts to lift off his mask. And once he does, he breathes in and he's like, I knew it. The air isn't toxic. It's not radioactive.
He had a Geiger counter.
Yeah, and he had a Geiger counter. And then they realize, he's realizing, there's something else going on here. There's something, they're not telling us. You know, and he had always had that theory, but he wanted to try to prove it. You know, and then, you know, as they're going through the city and as they're going down, they get arrested.
They got to the house.
Yeah, they did get to the house. Oh yeah, I will have to say they got to the house. And did anybody see that on the little you know aquarium thing? It said "Dad's Mothra." Anybody notice
I
that?
didn't.
No, I
Yeah.
did not.
Mhm.
Yep. There's a little nod to Mothra there, foreshadowing a bit. And you know when they're in the house too, Bryan Cranston sees the happy birthday sign his son put up when he was a kid, and just the look on his face kind of says it all. It's like he almost wasn't there for his family. He was too preoccupied with work, and it really hits home for him.
Hmm.
And like I said, yeah, go through the city. There, got to the house. He finally found a picture of them for him to remember.
Ford finds a figure or one of his figurines.
Oh yeah, well, this you mean the dinosaur, right?
No, it's the soldier.
Oh, okay.
That comes to play later.
Yeah, it does. That's true. And then you know, goes through the house, and then you know, fast forward a bit, they do get arrested by the security force there, and then they're taken to pretty much right by the plant there, and that's when they start to see this weird shaped cocoon, and it's like pulsating, it's glowing. We then see them in, you know, holding, and you know, we see Ken Watanabe's character, Dr. Serizawa, and then Sally Hawkins' character, Dr. Vivian Graham, you know, looking in. And this is where you get Bryan Cranston's you know, speech where he starts to really, you know, lay it out there and let his emotions go. One of my favorite lines where when he's just shouting, he goes, you know, my wife died here. Something killed my wife, and I have a right to know. I need answers.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
deserve answers.
yeah, that right there was where he really went full force, because mind you, he was just carrying the guilt of sending her down there, and then now we're seeing that something caused this to happen. The actual living thing caused this to happen. So for him, it was all that emotion boiling to the surface, and then he just lets it all out.
You can't hold it in.
Yep, and it's just amazing, you know, acting right there.
And he basically knows what it is. He just doesn't know what it is.
Yep.
Because the pulsing that the cocoon is doing is also sending off EMPs every few few seconds.
Yeah, and it's increasing.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, that's a electromagnetic pulse, and it's going to send us back to the Stone Age, because the more powerful it gets, the more it's shutting down all the electricity everywhere.
You have no idea what's coming.
It's so I'm going to stop there real quick. In the way the trailers were done, it always seems like he was talking about Godzilla. Did anybody see that with the original trailers?
Yes.
Yeah.
No bit.
And so,
it's like, oh my gosh, dude.
It looked like he was obsessed with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he never even lived to see him.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I'm going to interject there, because that's the one thing that I really didn't like about the trailer. It kind of lied to us.
It's misdirection. I wouldn't lie is strong. I wouldn't say that. Well, it's misdirection.
Right. But again, like, you know, when the whole thing happened with you know, the nuclear plant, you know, you automatically think would have been Godzilla, but then, you know, obviously it was the Muto, and they focused a lot on the Mutos.
Yeah.
But So then, Dr. Sarazawa realizes what he's saying, and he goes up to the control room, and he's like, the pulses are getting stronger. They're not sure if they can contain it. And then Dr. Sarazawa pretty much says, kill it. And so they essentially put through an electric pulse to essentially, fry whatever's inside the cocoon. And then the pulsating stops. So they think, maybe, they did kill it. And of course, they send, these poor, workers to go investigate and look at the cocoon. And of course, whatever's in it isn't dead and bursts out. And then we see essentially the birth of the male Muto in its mature form. And, you see its arms, its claws pulling down the wires, almost like, again, like a throwback to Jurassic Park where T-Rex puts his 2 fingers on the wires to see if the electric fence is still working. So there's a bit of homage there. And then you start to see how big it is as it's climbing out of the enclosure. And it's just stomping on people, not even really killing them on purpose. Just everywhere it's stomping, it's just causing some sort of destruction. And we see Ford's in the truck. And then, now, correct me if I'm wrong, the truck then, it pushes the truck and then it opens, right? If I remember right.
The truck capsizes and he's able to get out because the thing he's handcuffed to comes loose.
Right.
And he then sees what it is and is like, what the? He gets out of the truck just in time to see the Muto bring up its arms to start pulling down the wires.
Right.
And one of the things I do like of that entire scene is it busts out, it knocks out the power really quick because it hits with its hand to do a humongous power outage. And then they're switching up backup power, and when the lights come on, you see the kind of flickering of the Muto, and it's like, that's a cool visual.
Right.
And then how everything is, or the wires are snapping and whatnot, and Bryan Cranston tries stopping some people from going because the thing's about to collapse. And he's like, no, wait. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's when the wires snap so much that they whip past Ford and connect straight to his bridge. And when it breaks and you see, it's like, oh my God, dude. He probably just broke his neck. He probably just broke his back. Yikes. And Ford just basically freaks out because he's seeing this thing for how big it is. And when he grabs the gas mask and just starts breathing in and just hyperventilates till the point where he passes out, I'm like, that probably happened to me. That would happen that would happen to anyone. I mean, I defy anyone to not pass out when a freaking giant monster is in front of you and then just takes off like a freaking butterfly.
Yep. And what's ironic is that Muto, the male Muto, is actually small compared to what will happen later. Now, so this whole scene, from them getting arrested to the Muto hatching, I thought it was one of the best sequences in the movie, hands down, for me. What did you guys think as far as cinematography and as far as the acting? I thought this one really was great.
This had great cinematography. This one really did have great cinematography because it got in between buildings, the getting close up, the first person view of certain parts and sequences. This movie had cinematography that is deserving of a monster movie.
Yeah.
because you want the close-ups. You want to see
Yep.
how big these things are around
Yep.
humans,
Yes.
and to be able to feel the presence of the monsters as well. And
The
that is something that
only-
I felt that this movie did the best job, one of the best jobs at.
Yes.
Yeah. The only problem I had with it, though, is there was too. They always did the scenes like at nighttime, though, where it was too dark to see the monster, though, at times, you know.
Yes, that is a thing that even I have a problem with, because when I started watching the movie after I bought it, because I saw it in theaters, and then then I had a Kindle, and I have one of those protector screens on my Kindle that darkens it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm basically watching Godzilla in pitch black. But then
Yeah.
I finally got it on, or then I got my Chromebook here, which doesn't have the screen protector, and I can brighten it, but it's still freaking dark.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know why? The transfer was unintentionally darkened. They just
Oh.
released the 4K, and it's back to the original brightness of the theoretical version, and it's a much better.
Well, I
I
can
have
only
to pick
watch
that
it,
up
or
then.
when I get it on digital, and sadly I would have to get something or I would have to get another laptop, because this only does Google Chrome, because this is a Google product.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because Google does not do movies anywhere in 4K. Anything higher resolution has to do like Microsoft Edge or something else, and it's like
Wow.
frig. So it's like, god dang it. So I'm kind of stuck in a rut right now, because I also just got Tenet in 4K, and I just got that up or put on my digital library as well. A lot of people don't realize, and yes, I am going to shill out a little bit here. Getting movies anywhere, yes, I do advocate for physical media, but having a digital, or having some digital to fall on if you're limited with your choices and whatnot, movies anywhere is a good amalgamation of where you can get stuff, but also check out Vudu, or because it brings Vudu, Amazon Prime, Microsoft, and others. You could put them into one library.
Right.
Sadly, you can't get Paramount, and you can't get Lionsgate, but I'm pretty sure that will change down the line. But for the most part, Movies Anywhere is a very good site to have a digital library on, because you can also do screen passes and watch parties and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's also great to have in a pinch. It's also, you could put it on your phone. You could get a free, or the account is free. It literally costs nothing. The only thing it costs, or the only thing that costs, is buying movies. And sometimes you can get the movies for a steal. I just got Willow with all the special features for $4.99
Oh.
on sale.
Nice.
And they do daily deals. They have sales that, I mean, I'm wishing the Marvel movies would go a little bit lower in the sales with, or besides $9.99.
Mhm.
But because they usually, or they're always, they go right back up to 20. The most I have seen a movie cost on Movies Anywhere is when they did Mulan, which was $29.99. Most other movies, $19.99. Even new releases.
Right.
Mhm.
You can go get the physical one for like $30 or $36 at Walmart or whatever, and you can get the digital by itself for $20, and you can get all the cool special features if it has a special features.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, sorry to do
That's
that,
all right.
but I just really wanted to shill out Movies Anywhere because they truly are worth looking into for most people.
Right. Oh, that's cool though. So Mongo, what do you think of this scene?
Well, personally, when I initially saw this movie, I saw it back in 2015. since I was out of the country when it premiered, when it first came out. But when I initially saw Godzilla 2014, I really wasn't as huge a fan of the Muto's designs. Something about them reminded me of Shamu. If you turned Shamu into a kaiju, it just seemed a little too slick and smooth-ish for
Yeah,
me.
for me, at least on the Mutos, it kind of reminded me of the Orga from Godzilla 2000.
Yeah. Totally.
It was an odd design.
Mm.
I will agree there.
But I do appreciate the alien-like nature of it. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if later down the line in the Monsterverse lore, they say, oh, well, Muto, that's a type of invasive intergalactic species or something. Because, of course, with Godzilla Aftershocks,
Yeah.
they explain like these things are, if they go out of control, they go out of control
Right.
until everything is dead.
Well, I
Yeah,
thought
very
their eyes reminded me of Gigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Visor. It's like a visor kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that's why I thought actually they were like more like aliens more so than actual natural creatures. But again, because if you look at all the rest of the monsters in the Monsterverse, they look more akin to like real animals, just highly mutated.
Mm-hmm.
Even the skull crawlers and stuff like that.
I mean, if
So
anything, it's kind of remotely to bad, wouldn't it be? If that's the case? On the Mutos?
for which one?
For the Mutos, like a bad almost?
Yeah, the wings. Well,
Well,
wings were
and
like a mix of like insect and like bat almost.
yeah.
And then so yeah, the design of the Mutos, for me, um, I thought they were pretty cool, but yeah, within the context of like the movies, they seem a bit more out of place. But that's just me. So moving on then, Faye, do you have anything you want to say about this scene?
Let me see if I have anything on my notes real quick. Yeah, nope, just the Orga one, that was really about it. That they kind of look like Orga from Godzilla 2000.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so right after the Muto flies away, we get the scene in the morning about the aftermath. You see Dr. Sarazal and Dr. Graham. They're they're talking to the one of the naval officers that's the XO to Admiral Stans. And he's like, do you need anything else? We're about ready to move out. And then he looks over and sees Ford, and he's with his dad, who's in a stretcher. And Sarazar points them right over there. And so then we see a helicopter scene. We see Ford trying to comfort his dad, and his dad said, go home to your family, keep them safe, and whatever it takes. And then he kind of slips away, and he's like, dad, dad, dad. And then the scene that scene ends, and we get right after is Admiral Stans, then, right, where he's talking about the Mutos are no longer terrestrial, this one's airborne.
Yeah.
And then so after that, they're explaining Muto means massive unidentified terrestrial organism, but this one now is no longer terrestrial, is capable of flight.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Sarazal, Dr. Graham are in the meeting room, and then suddenly they go and they leave. We then get a shot of Bryan Cranston had already died, and he's being put in a body bag, which kind of feels a bit disingenuous because it's just like There was the best character in the movie, and he's gone. And so Dr. Vivian Graham, she's like, we understand, our condolences, but we really need your help. And so now we get into this meeting room, and they're explaining what Monarch is, and it was defined and categorized these ancient creatures. And then they focus on, they show footage. They say in 1954, the first time a nuclear submarine ever went to lower depths, they awoken something. And then, you see the montage of footage, and then you see the freeze frame of Godzilla as he's rising out of the water right before the nuclear bomb, Casa Bravo test hits him. And he's like him. And go into the whole, speech of what he is. This animal adapted to feed upon radiation as a food source. And then he's like, he's an ancient alpha predator. And then he's like, we call him Gojira, which is the Japanese version of Godzilla.
Right.
And what's funny about that scene is originally he was going to say Godzilla, but Ken Watanabe said, as a Japanese man, I can't call him just Godzilla. I want to call him as what traditionally we call him. And Gareth Edwards is fine with that. He actually liked that. But then it leads to a bit of controversy later on, but because everyone else just calls him Godzilla, but they don't explain why. So then in that scene, they're asking, Ford, what did your father say? Was there, anything he may have found out? And then Ford's like, he said something about echolocation, about something talking. And then he's like, they were like talking. He goes, yeah, I didn't listen. I thought he was crazy. And then they realized, if they were talking, then something must have been listening. Mm-hmm. And then, even Vivian Graham's like, why would you call it a predator? Like Godzilla. And he goes, maybe Godzilla was just listening for the right time. And then he's like, well,
stop. You are way out of order of the film.
Oh yeah, I'm just giving the gist of it.
Yeah, the gist of it, babe, it's like they had to they were monitoring all radiation sites, but if they don't come or find it soon, then he's like, what's gonna happen? And Sir Fadsalvation was like, nature has an order, a power to restore and maintain balance. That's what he believes that Godzilla is. But did you cover Joe dying, like what he said to his son and whatnot?
Yeah, I did. I already did that.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away for a little bit.
No, dude, yeah, you must have stepped away because what you just said was actually at the end what I was getting to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then that scene ends, and then
they jump to the military, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they also put what's his name on a chopper to Hawaii so he can get to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So, like, what kind of idiot would put him on a direct path nobody thinks they would go to Hawaii, but we all know how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah. So in that scene, that's the first time they finally mentioned Godzilla. Mind you, this is 45 minutes into the film. Mm-hmm. And they finally mentioned Godzilla in the movie. So what they also then, Ford, he's in Hawaii, he's trying to get a trip back, home. He's at the airport. And then while he's doing that, then there's a report saying that the Russians lost an Akulo sub, and they don't know where it is. But they located tracker, and it's in Hawaii.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we have a dog too, and
I'm so sorry.
That kind of made me jump a bit. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, he does.
Keep me on my toes. Keep me on my toes.
That dog sounded like a person screaming.
That was good. That was
What are
good.
you doing, Fadsalvation?
Oh my god.
No, he just lets me know if someone's at the door or coming to close proximity to the door. So
Oh, it's probably who knows. But so we get the next scene then. They have a tracker on the sub, and they send the team into the pretty much the jungle of Hawaii there, and they're like, what's in the
Diamond Head.
cooler doing? Huh?
They were at Diamond Head
Yeah,
in Oahu.
and what was that? Sorry.
They were in Diamond Head on Oahu.
Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta say, I really appreciated them going to Hawaii, and obviously the little. Well, I want to jump the gun, but when Godzilla surfaces and the tsunami warning, that's something that's really Hawaii. Of course, has a huge history with tsunamis. They have museums, just kind of memorializing the devastation that can happen. But
yeah.
anyway, I appreciated Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Always fun to see the place of my mother's birth.
Nice.
That's cool though. But you see the military, they're going in, tracking the Russian submarine. And even they're like, what's in the Kula doing, out
In the
here
middle of the jungle.
in the middle of the jungle?
Yeah.
Anybody want to tell me why we're looking for an Akula
Yeah.
in the middle of the jungle?
Yeah.
It really helps to kind of solidify the power of the weaker of the Mutos, arguably, strength-wise. Like this winged creature was able to just pick up this nuclear sub, take it all the way, pretty far inland in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, just
Mm.
hang out and chill, I was like,
Not only that, it had to Akulas are deep divers.
yeah.
So either this thing was just coming up for recyc or air recyc, or it's like, what on earth? How did it get it?
I think it's like your theory where it was up for recycling the air and then wrong place, wrong time for it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. And then you see down, soldiers see like they're like, what the hell? And they wipe the saliva off one of the containers, and it's radioactive. Then they look up, and you see the helicopter up there too, and it's like shining down the light. And you see the entire sub is literally like pinned up in the middle of Hawaii.
Yeah,
and then you
nose
see,
down.
Yep, nose down, and then you see the Muto literally swallowing the warheads, the nuclear warheads, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the hell?" And it's like,
I
then
gotta say, that was some real gooey goop.
Well,
Oh,
I gotta appreciate a monster movie with some good goo in it. Some good
Oh, yeah.
monster goo.
Except that, was it drool or was it something completely different?
it was drool, I think.
it was
memory
droll.
serves.
Well, it was almost like a homage to Alien.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
What-
there's a
what-
lot of homages to different movies in this movie. You can tell the influences. And then they see the Muto, and then they radio for the aircraft, and it's inbound. And
Call in the F-35s to get a good visual.
And then the thing is, you see its arms start to glow, and it raises it up, and then slams down. So the EMP has such a shockwave that the soldiers fly back, and also their lights like just pop.
Yeah.
The aircraft loses all power right then and there, can't even eject, and it just slams down right by the soldiers, and the real explosion, and they just go flying. Like this thing just completely takes out the not just the aircraft, but then it literally takes out power.
Military,
Yeah, and it takes out the power to the airport as well.
and the train that Ford's on.
And the train Ford's on.
That he's also going to bring a kid back because the kid kind of took a fancy to his toy.
Yep.
And he got stuck on the train. He's like, I'll bring the kid back. Don't worry. It's like, yeah, you also look like you kidnapped a kid.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I got to point that out.
Don't leave him with the kid.
It's like, I'll bring him back. Don't worry. You just pick him up and you're like, yeah, I'll bring him back. It's like, dude, you just look like you're gonna. But anyway, but yeah.
He just keeps going.
When the F-35s approach the Muto, I love how the Muto reacts. It's like, what the frick, man? I'm trying to eat. What the frick, man? These things are crazy. It's like, if you would have just engaged with the damn thing, F-35s are basically the United States version of a Harrier. And it's a little bit better than the F-22s. So those suckers can go pretty good, fast, or they're fast and they're agile. If they would have engaged that Muto, they probably wouldn't have beat it, but they would have pissed it off enough to get it to probably move away. Their munitions are good enough to do some serious shit.
Yeah.
There's something I enjoy about a monster that is inconvenient to fight. You know, you look at the aliens, they got the acid blood. You got the Mutos, they got the EMPs. It forces the human element to adjust and try to compensate for that. And of course, you get some great stuff with that in the movie, kind of throughout the movie. After they establish, okay, guys, we gotta be a little tricky here. We gotta try and work around these guys here.
My question is, how the hell did that Muto move so fast when the power came back on? Because when the power comes back on, he's in the airport area with where that train's heading, and he's like, or it's like, crap, everything's all shut. Oh, is this a morsel that's coming right towards me? I'm gonna eat it. I love that. It's like, and even the kid realizes, we're gonna die. And he screams, it's like, we're gonna die. But I do love it, man, because Godzilla is coming.
Yes.
And that shot,
that intro was well worth it to see.
Yes,
in that
it
movie.
was. So while this happened, now you get a scene back onto the carrier, and suddenly they're like saying we got sonar contact, and something's in the water. So Zarazawa automatically knows who it is, and he leaves and goes up, and she's like, Vivian Graham's like, where are you going? He goes, I have to see this. And so he goes onto the flight deck. And he has his binoculars out. And all of a sudden, it's panning from the viewpoint of binoculars. And then you see Godzilla's dorsal plates. And then it gives a bit more. At first, it's like really like close. And then it gives you a bit more of a wider shot of it. Yeah. And it's just moving right toward them. But instead of hitting the carrier, Godzilla actually dives under them and then rises by the two destroyers, which, forces them to both of his sides. Yeah. And as this is happening, as Mongo was pointing out, then you hear the sirens of a tsunami coming.
Yep, the girl sees all the fish.
Yep, all the fish.
And like, Dad! Zoe! Oh my God.
Yeah. And the poor dog barking.
Yeah, that freaking dog lived. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
that dog was like the only one that lived.
As the tsunami's coming, the dog's running past all the people, and it's like, screw you guys. I'm out.
Like the hell with all of you.
Now, let me just say this: I'm an animal person. I am glad that dog survives. I mean, if the humans die, so be it. But if the dog lives, I'm all for it.
No dogs were injured during the making of this film, but I do love that kid's reaction because she doesn't know how to react. I mean, when they're running away, she's seeing the water rush up.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
then, I'm sorry, I have to describe this shot. This is when he makes landfall, Big G.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And all the chaos. I mean, the girl and her dad and her mom get into a shop, and the door's closed just as the water floods in, and you can actually see the windows cracking and kind of pouring through. But you feel that they're going to make it. I mean, they're not going to kill a kid on screen. This isn't Game of Thrones. Then you see all the power going out everywhere. You also see, they had an established shot of the military getting on certain buildings, and then you see the flares just shoot up, and then you see the gills
Mhm.
and the arms and the legs, and you see all these people reacting to this, and then the military just shoots at Godzilla.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, like they're gonna
feels
do
like
some
tickling my
serious
thigh.
damage to it.
It's like, it feels like tickling my thigh. Screw it. I'm on the hunt right now. Can't let it bother me. And I'm like, yeah, dude, even if you were using silver hollow points with those MP5s of yours, you would not touch his inner skin. Even if you used a 50 cal, you would not, with an armor piercing explosive tip round, you wouldn't touch his inner skin. I mean, you are literally dealing with a god or a titan or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
I
I just love that shot. It's like you hear the kind
Yeah.
of guttural
like the
moan and then the growl, and it's
Yeah.
like, holy. I mean, my reaction was basically the same as that extra's reaction, where it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they just start shooting. Everybody starts freaking out. It's like, yeah, you guys didn't know that you had the military right behind you? Well,
Yeah.
but I guess you guys are too busy partying because, well, you're freaking out over a little bit of MP5 fire. Jeez. But I just love that. It's like, he's not. You guys are shooting at something that is like 300 feet tall and has thighs that are bigger than Air Force One.
Yeah.
And when he arrives there,
Mm.
after the gunships are shooting him at the Muto, and he just kind of rises up at the airport and kind of knocks one of them a bit. And then everybody's freaking out in the airport. And then you see his foot come down. Notice how everybody goes silent.
I
Yes.
know.
Like,
They go
oh my God,
completely silent.
And they're like, now, I gotta say, that was some of the worst feet I've ever seen on a Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I'm
Bronto.
glad that they upgraded later on in other films. But that is one of the best entrances. It's like, yo, heard you talking shit.
When you see that, you wish the 1998 Godzilla had an entrance like that.
I know. That Godzilla's like, hey, what the fuck's going on? I need a place to lay my eggs.
Yeah,
And
pretty
then
much.
this Godzilla just
And I have some
stomps that
food.
Godzilla.
Yeah, that's ugh.
The Zilla,
Yeah.
sorry.
But I just loved it.
Yeah, that roar he does at the airport. I remember seeing that in theaters, and the seats actually shook because the base of that roar was just unbelievable.
And then the flare of the nostrils after he does it, he's like,
yeah.
And then the kid sees the dinosaurs on the TV. That was cute.
You know, that scene where he sees the kid, where the kid sees Godzilla and Muto fighting on screen.
Yeah.
That was actually a kind of throwback, saying the first time we watched a Godzilla movie was probably on TV.
Yep.
So it was like an inside kind of like, hey, that's the first time we've all seen it. So that's the first time, a kid sees it. And he's like, look, mommy, dinosaurs.
Yeah. And she's like, Sammy, turn that off. And it's like, he's not going to turn that off. Not when he's seeing actual freaking dinosaurs.
Yep. No, he's not.
I also did like the Muto's reaction when he sees Godzilla. It's like, oh, what the fuck, man? This is my place. Beat it. And
Yeah.
Godzilla's like,
Yeah.
no,
No,
you
this
beat
is
it.
my territory.
Well, you notice too, like a real animal, it unfurs its wings to make it look bigger
Bigger.
than what
Yeah.
it is,
Mhm.
Mm.
and
It's like,
but Godzilla's
yeah,
just not doesn't care. It's like,
yeah, it's like, you're
That's
not supposed to
cute.
be here. It's like, you're not supposed to be here. You're going to get your ass out of here now. So, roar.
no, this one does not have an after credit scene
Nope.
because they still weren't sure if they were going to move forward with this
Mhm.
Monsterverse yet.
Pixie, anything to say?
The fighting was good, I guess.
From when I rewatched this, and how they have Godzilla portrayed as a hero in the
Mhm.
Monsterverse, it's like, do you guys forget how many people he killed with just that tsunami?
I know,
Yeah,
right?
right?
It's
like-
like, yay, all hail the hero. Did you?
Humans have
he
little,
killed
or humans are of
thousands.
little consequence to Titans.
Yeah,
That
they're
is
pretty much like
both,
ants.
that is both in Greek myth and in this movie. They are
Yes.
of very little consequence to
Yep.
creatures that
Mhm.
owned this earth before them.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
look, I know you guys are very small, but either get the fuck out of my way or you're getting stepped on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm sorry, I don't care about your lives. I don't care about your human attachments. I just don't care. I have a mission.
Mhm.
I'm trying to save this world. Unfortunately, you don't matter right now, so get out of my way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what also too, like as I was saying, when the male Muto first emerges, he's just killing people he's not even meaning to. He's just from his stepping around.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, they don't care. They're just for the Mutos, their whole thing is to breed and to multiply. Like any other animal except for Godzilla. Though Godzilla is the enemy of love in this movie.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of, these Mutos are actually siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
hey,
you
look at the
didn't
Greek.
know this?
Hey, look at the Greek gods, man. I mean, come on.
Oh my
I
god!
mean, it
Yeah,
was a wild Roman time back then.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Muto Prime or Shinigami or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lays two of them, or it lays two into Godzilla's species, and they end up being they end up being a male and a female.
Yeah.
But yeah, your brother and sister, but I still want you to boink.
Well,
It's animals, so.
Yeah. Well, it's parasites, so I don't think that they have any genetic defects to worry about.
Yeah.
all right. So let's take a vote here. Who else was like kind of upset they didn't actually show the fight?
I was.
They only showed the fight on TV, so I was very
it was a
like,
brief second.
I kind of
it.
wish that they
Yeah.
did a mixture of it though, like TV and actual life. Like you see
Yeah.
like the first like few scenes of the fight, and then it goes on to the TV or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm seeing a little bit of a swiping here, and then Muto just is taken off, and then Godzilla. It's like, wait, you just set up this grand entrance.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we got, a grand entrance, and
Yep.
that's it.
They
I'm
focused more on the
sorry.
soldiers.
Say that again.
They focused more on the soldiers.
Yeah, it's like, show me more, tell me more. I don't know, but give me more.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, that is the one bane of this movie. Gareth Edwards went for less is more, but it's like,
Not when it comes to
you want
Godzilla.
more, and you really want more. Not your less is more. We want more.
It's a monster movie. It's not called Soldiers and Godzilla.
Yeah, it's called Godzilla. It's like you put the freaking Godzilla in the Godzilla movie. He only got what, like 10 minutes of screen time? Not even.
I think wasn't the full time 15 minutes.
Yeah, with like all the mutos mixed in and all
Yeah.
those.
Hold on,
things.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah.
Godzilla
Yeah.
Air Time 2014.
I'm about to say they learned their lesson from this because, and then in the next
Yeah,
movie,
the King of
Kong Skull
Monsters, I
Island.
think. Oh,
It,
for the Godzilla movies, yeah, the Kong Skull Island. Well, yeah, they focus
yeah.
more on Kong.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
But
it's
the
a
only
different director
downside
too, isn't it?
on that the human element kind of suffered on that, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into those ones
Yeah.
next week. But as far as this movie as it's self-contained, I understand why they kind of did it this way because they try to reintroduce these like Godzilla and the Mutos in this new universe.
Right.
But yeah, it could have had a little bit more, impact.
But then
Godzilla is
again,
more of an anti-hero. That's one question
but then
that
again,
they're like, is
after
Godzilla a hero?
Well, I mean, he does kill people, so yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero. It's like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
a slaughterer of sheep.
But I can also see why they don't wanna show Godzilla too much, because they're not sure if this movie was gonna be as big of a hit as it was
Well,
then,
that's how
though.
you make a movie a bigger of a hit with a monster movie. You show more monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also got to
also
think about screen. 9 minutes 29 seconds, 7.7%,
Not even 10 minutes.
7.7% of runtime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Man.
The male Muto, 6.48 minutes.
Jeez.
Or 6 minutes 48 seconds. Female Muto, 7 minutes 22 seconds. All monsters, 16 minutes 10 seconds, 13.1% of total runtime.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So a monster
I'm
movie
like,
was barely any monsters.
Yep.
yo, Gareth, you done fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, soldier runtime, probably almost
Yeah.
the entire movie.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, you gotta be
Yeah.
kidding me.
What?
They said that it was, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Now, Godzilla got 9.5 minutes of runtime in 2014.
Right.
You want to know how? You want to know how much time he got in King of the Monsters?
What?
9 minutes 53 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Now,
it's
because
spread out a bit more.
yeah, but because it had a little bit of a longer runtime, it actually has a shorter percentage of runtime. In 2014, it's 7.7%. In King of the Monsters, it's 7.5%. He's got even less runtime
But it just looked
percentage-wise.
like it was more because of how it was shot.
Yeah,
It's a
definitely.
sequel. But hey,
Mhm.
at least they got 6 minutes more. Well, 6 minutes 21 seconds more of all the monsters in frigging King of the Monsters, because that was 22 minutes and 31 seconds of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or a 2 hour and 30 minutes.
I think it was 2 hours 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh my god, man. Show some friggin' monsters.
Yeah. All right, moving on because I don't want to. We're like
Yeah.
we got a lot more to talk about here. So, all right, so you see daylight again, the aftermath. You see the destruction. The little boy is reunited with his parents.
Yeah.
And
He was about to turn him into FEMA. It's like, really? You turned him into FEMA?
Oh
Are
boy.
you nuts? That kid will never find his parents.
Mhm.
Thankfully, the kid found his own parents.
Oh geez.
I'm sorry, I had to.
We're okay.
Here
So
in the U.S., we take shots at FEMA because FEMA is useless.
the UN's useless too, but well, that's another
Yeah.
story.
That's a story for another time.
Okay. So it's back to daylight. this is where Ford pretty much says, I'm in it for the long haul at this point, because he's, he tried to escape back and it didn't work. So now he's in for the long haul. And so what transpires is, one second. Sorry. Anyway, huh?
You didn't swallow Muto, did
I
you?
don't have COVID. My wife says I had COVID because I coughed. Anyway, she works at a hospital, so she's seen it all.
Take her word
Anyway,
for it.
yeah. I'll take her word for it another time.
You heard him.
For God's sake. So, okay, I'm losing my concentration here.
He gets back in with the military
Yes.
because he missed his flight, and then Stan's basically gets interrupted because he's like, we need to keep on course with these things. The military is basically escorting Godzilla wherever he wants to go, and then they they find out that Godzilla's hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're back on track.
Yep. And okay, that shot, where he's literally being escorted by the military, seemed kind of interesting to me because, for one, he's like, taking the long way, essentially, back because, as we find out, they can use the Hollow Earth to shoot through, these wormholes. But essentially, he's, being escorted by the military, which seems kind of odd because usually they just would start firing on him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so, they're talking about, the Mutos, and then, they realize, what about that other spore? And, they thought it was dormant. And here it was where they, up in the Yucca Mountains, where they dispose of nuclear waste, and they show this convoy of these soldiers. Again, they're using like regular soldiers for these, huge giant creatures. And I mean, I guess they need to have a human element, but still, at this point, seeing what that one did, you would think they'd send an entire, battalion of tanks, helicopters, and jets right then and there.
Not in a populated area, they won't.
Well, yeah, but in the Yucca, in the mountains where they have the nuclear waste disposal, and it's all desert, other than Las Vegas. There,
let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to send you're going to send heavy armament to an area that is housing millions of pounds of nuclear material?
Hey, at this point, that
No,
thing's walking.
You're
nuclear.
not, because Vegas is literally, I think, like 60 miles or 70 miles from Yucca Mountain. Winds carry from that direction to Vegas.
Oh, those gamblers deserve it.
So yeah, what they did was pretty much operating procedure, because my father was also military. He knows. He's like, yeah, what they were doing is actually what they do.
So they're going through, they're looking at all the different rooms. They're saying clear, clear. And then all of a sudden, one guy opens the visor there, and it's all light. And he goes over here, and they all go turn. They open the door, and there's just a huge hole out of the mountain there. And then in the distance, you can see the female Muto right then and there. And then we do a shot at Vegas, and they're in the casino, and then all of a sudden, one of her arms comes right through, the ceiling, and then we see, a good clear shot of the female Muto, and immediately they're like, they're seeing it on the big screen, And then he's like, well, this one doesn't have wings. And then, they're like, it's another sex. And then they're saying, it's a female. And so, and also it's much larger than the male. So now you have two Mutos, that are trying to rendezvous with each other. And so this is where the idea of luring them comes, and they're trying to lure them using essentially a warhead to try to divert them somewhere else. Unfortunately, as we find out, that nothing ever goes to plan.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think of the female Muto, the sexual dimorphism that they decided to use?
Oh, how she's bigger than the male?
And also doesn't have wings and that kind of thing. What did you think of the overall impression when you saw it for the first time?
Not that impressed. I mean, it was just, a bigger Muto, and that was really about it.
That is one big bitch.
Exactly.
That was my actual reaction. I'm like, that is one big bitch. She's female. She has to be. That thing does not look like a butterfly.
Nope.
And because honestly, I care more about nature than I do about humanity at this point, and even back in 2014. And it's like, the thing where Tom Hardy says that's bait. Well, that's female.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's female.
Yeah.
And I love how it just rips down the Eiffel Tower. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, get out of my way! You're too big. I don't like you. And I just love how the firemen bust into the honeymoon suite. Anybody in there? Looks like an angel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy's a chuckle out of me.
Oh yes, you are. I'm like, oh my god, are you seriously played that song for this moment
Yeah.
in a honeymoon suite?
Well,
I understand the irony.
Yes. Well, maybe they kind of did, foreshadowing there. Yeah. Because so then you want to explain the train sequence here?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? So, Orange, if you want to go ahead and talk about the train sequence.
They are after the female showed up in Nevada. Ford and the rest of them get rerouted to that area and he sees, or Brody sees, or Ford sees that Ford sees that there's Minutemen ICBMs, but they're prepping for analog, meaning they're taking the digital modules out. And I love how he's like, is my job supposed to drop? I get it, you're EOD. When was the last time you let your men put their fingers in a live bomb? Look, this is my job. This is what I do. And the guy's just not having it because it's like, no, dude, I'm sorry, but orders are orders. Dude, my wife is in the city. I have to be on that train. Fuck it. Get in a uniform, call your wife, tell her to get the hell out of the city. So they put him on the train. He calls her, she's doing about surgery or some shit. And what's her name from Gilmore Girls, it looked like, is I don't think it was her from Gilmore Girls, to be honest, but I think she looked like her. But anyway, it's like, okay, she's freaking out. Elizabeth Olsen's freaking out. She's like, I don't know what's happening. Are you okay? What the hell's going on? It's like, yeah, I don't think you got that message about his dad dying, did you? But yeah, but I'm tush. But so they get on the train and they get to, or they're talking about the Mutos are knocking out anything electric, and they're talking about how they're planning to use the nukes. And there's a lot of stuff in between. And basically, the military's talking about their plan, which is to send it or get a nuke. Godzilla reroutes himself. He dives and outruns the military. The female Mutos basically just willy-nilly going or making a beeline towards San Francisco. The male Mutos doing fuck all. And the female is actually, while she's making the beeline, she decides to take a stop in the mountains. You actually see the setup where you see a busted up rail bridge, and Ford's actually, or Morales is actually looking at it, and it's like, yeah, shouldn't somebody say something about that? I mean, that is like, guys, I don't think we're alone. So then they have to halt the train, and Morales and Ford go out, and they're like, bridge is intact. Now, one of the best shots in that scene was when they said that the bridge is intact, but when they pan up, you see the slightest movement. And there's two other guys that went downstairs. They also give the whistle that the bridge is intact. And then the female Muto shows up and starts crawling. And dumbass Morales still has his radio on. And one of the cool things that you notice about the female Muto's eyes when she's going under them and under the bridge, she's like, or her eyes are literally flickering to the radio.
Yeah.
To the same beat. And when
that I actually thought was pretty cool, was that flicker too.
She also mimics the radio. That and she's like, and then she's about to chew on them, but she hears the train, and then she mimics the train. She's trying to find her mate.
Yes.
Literally. She's like, is this my mate? Nope. Is that my mate? Nope. But I smell something that smells delicious. And, well, yeah, she turns to she attacks the train, puts it on fire. Morales is dead because he gets smacked off the bridge, and, well, he is dead. Ford has to jump off the bridge. And he happens to be like 10 or just like 5 or 6 feet away from the bridge or the train when it falls in or falls over on him. And then the next scene when the people are going, or when they're getting everybody out of the city, and she's like, no, Ford's coming. He's on his way. Well, if you change your mind. And then you see him all crusted up from all the dirt and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you also see the coyote, which was pretty cool. But it's like, he did. But then you see, and I just love it. Medic! And it's like, yeah, dude, you try scraping some of that shit off his face, you're probably going to peel it off.
Yeah, really.
Oh my God, man, that just looked it's like, if I could ask Aaron Taylor Johnson any question, it'd be like, what did it feel like to have all that shit on your face after the Muto attack on the train? I mean, just like, what was it? Was it brownies? What was it? Come on, man. Tell me. I must know. But yeah.
Okay, speaking of that, if I could ever ask Aaron Taylor Johnson something, I would ask him, how is it you survived a Godzilla movie, but then got a couple bullet wounds and then you died in the next movie?
Shot by a fucking robot, man.
Yeah. Really? And you're supposed to be fast.
Yeah. Didn't see that coming, did you? This actually eventually leads up to the bridge, and Brody is also brought again to FEMA. And it's like, I'm checking to see, or Sam Brody is safe, or he checked into the center, but this was after the incident on the bridge. So we have to get to the bridge. So Elizabeth Olsen's like, wait! Puts her son on the bus. And thankfully, it just happens to be the same bus as her friend is on.
Yeah.
And all those kids are screaming. It's
Yep.
like, could you shut up? I mean, if I was the driver, they have the internal CD function on those things. It'd be like, shush or die. I'm sorry. That's what I would have done. But there is a huge jump scare in this one. That freaking bird that just smacks into him.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you hear the noise. Crap, there's a bunch of birds.
Yep.
I jumped and I almost pissed myself in the theater because I had a super large freaking Sprite. And I don't leave the theater for nothing unless I'm about to shit really, really bad.
The bird scene. You know what that reminded me of is Godzilla 1985.
Yeah.
Where Godzilla follows the birds.
Right.
Where Godzilla follows the birds. I thought that was a little homage to that, where it's like, that's the warning sign. He's coming. You know.
Yep. Brace! It's like, yeah, brace. And then Godzilla stops. He's like, could you guys just kind of, I don't know, get the fuck out of my way?
You're in
okay,
my way.
you're taking too long. I'm going under you. Ah, crap, I can't get under you. So they're like, fire! The military panics, and they accidentally shoot some shit near the bridge, and Godzilla stands up, and I'm like, oh shit, rise, and then he rises, he grabs the bridge. He's like, oh my god, these idiots! This is basically what Godzilla is saying. He's like, these freaking idiots.
Yep.
Hey, shoot! That hurts because they're hitting him in his gills. That's a soft spot for him.
Yeah.
And they literally put a tank round into his gills, and it's like, okay, that hurts.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: the scaling in this one shot bunked really bad. If that was really the Golden Gate Bridge, he wouldn't have even been able to make it out of the water or stand up in the water. That is 700 plus feet deep.
Yeah.
He's only 350 at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like Godzilla's like 1,000 feet tall, or Godzilla's bigger than Godzilla Earth in this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worship him. But I just love the driver, man. He just cranks. He's like, "Fuck you!
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here."
He's a good bus driver.
Yeah, that driver.
I could totally see my bus drivers back when I was a kid. They totally do the same thing. Like, whoa!
Brody,
I got a bus full of kids.
It's like, I got a bus full of kids. You're getting the hell out of my way, or I'm running
And
you
I'm
over.
driving a bus. Get out of my way, army men.
Yep. But I do like how the tank had the. There's a guy called Omniviewer that's a big fan of the Monsterverse that you should invite to your future conversations. Keep that in a. Oh, we lost Geeky.
Oh, she's going to take a bath.
She's taking a bath.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
In the tub. Awesome. But yeah, I do like how they bring Brody in for the nuclear drop, because at this time, the Mudos also, or while they're seeing Godzilla bust through a bridge, the rest of the military, they're prepping that nuke.
Mm-hmm.
And the second they turn that nuke on, the very freaking second they turned those keys, you hear,
yep,
and you see the EMP wave just hit them. What was that? EMP. Did you not fucking read the mission briefings, you dumbass?
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. After everything's shutting down, get your freaking guns up. I don't care if they're freaking pea shooters compared to these things.
Yeah.
Get your guns up. You know this thing is skybound.
Yeah.
The military was just dumb
Well,
in this freaking.
did you guys also notice like the very eerie music as the planes were falling out of the sky?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that was beautifully
Yeah,
done
that
piece
was.
of music.
Then you see the one
Mm.
dude parachuting in, and
Yeah.
you're like, she's like, oh, and then, well, his plane just smashes into the building. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, this is serious.
Mhm.
And then you see, or you see a bunch of other ones, and you see one guy get
Yeah.
his shoe out,
Mm.
and then you hear the screeching, and they all go weapons up, firing,
Yep.
and that shot of its wings outspread going down, and then
Yeah.
crashing into the water. I'm like, that's a cool shot.
Mhm.
Yes,
Then
that
it
was a
just-
cool
Yeah.
shot.
Then it just busts
That was
up and then busts the nuke out.
Yeah.
And the female's like, and he has
Yeah,
to
they synchronize.
yeah. And then they have their little well, as KOTM says, sex scene. So to
Yeah.
speak.
Hold on.
But,
Wow.
yeah, they have their little their eyes going to sync and whatnot. And she holds the nuke to her babies and is like, yeah, you guys are gonna have a lovely meal.
Hold on.
Yep.
Ding dong, pizza guy.
Yeah. And then she just starts, and that's when she starts burrowing. And
Yep.
the male just, starts patrolling the territory.
Yep.
And they all plan their hell or the descent into hell drop scene, which is pretty cool. He's like,
Yeah.
how long do you get it over? 60 seconds if I can access it. I prepped that device myself. And they're all, it's like, you guys have a bubble to explain the EMP thing. How the hell can you point to anything through that bubble? This is like this is like the game Sorry with the dice.
Yep.
And you go here. It's like, you're pointing at a bubble. But I just love that. But so then Godzilla gets, or the male Muto swooping through the buildings, and you actually see the windows crack as
Yep.
it swoops by. And then it just just crashes onto a building and flapping its wings. It's like, yeah, I see you, motherfucker. I know you're there.
Yep.
And she's about to run, and then she sees Godzilla. It's like, fuck it, I'm caught. Okay, well, you're about to die now. And then the look she gives when she sees Godzilla, it's like, oh my god, there's two of these fucking things. I'm stuck in between them. She just looks like she's upset. Like she's like, how dare you be in my way when I'm trying to get the hell away from this thing? It's just that look.
Yeah, it's like Wanda. What did you envision this time?
It's like, yeah, what did you do, Wanda? What did you do?
Yeah.
And I love it because this was another false trailer moment.
Yep.
Because the trailers, when that door is closing, you just
Is
see
Godzilla.
roaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's actually in the movie, it's Godzilla and the Muto fighting, and he actually gets a good fight on it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they're fighting. Now the descent into hell.
Yes.
And I gotta say, that was biblical. The red streak attached, or the freaking flares attached to the thing with it. Also, I know a couple people in the military who have done halos. And when it comes to a lot of people doing jumps like that, they do have a preacher on board.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually a requirement. It's like, you say a prayer to whatever God you have, man, because what you are about to do is very dangerous. And it's like, well, yeah, you're going to need it. But I love that shot because when they finally get to the city and they see the freaking monsters, you see Brody just drop right by Godzilla screaming after that Muto kicks off him.
Yeah.
It's like, get your fucking ass back here. And I'm like, dude, well, at least you're not freaking out this time. That's good. You're not hyperventilating this time. That's good. But that was also another false trailer moment. Because in the trailer, you only see Godzilla or walking. And I'm like, dude, this is I can't wait to see the movie. And then I'm seeing all this, like, it's different, but it's better. But it's different, but it's better.
Yeah.
And you just see him just walk right by. You see the shadow go by. You hear a bunch of other people getting caught in different areas. And so they have to slogging up a hill, and while they're slogging up the hill, you literally see the female Muto kind of looking up and growling, and then they get to her laying her brood.
Yep.
So what do you all think of all that stuff? Sorry, I kind of
That's fine. That's fine.
I kind of hijacked your stream.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about that. Like I said, it's a full discussion. Whoever wants to say whatever, go ahead. I'm all for it. So one of the things that I will say before all these scenes, when it came to the interloping stuff with right before the train scene, the pacing really slowed down, in my opinion. Like it really, kind of started to get kind of boring there. But once it picked up with the, scene with, Godzilla at the Golden Gate Bridge and stuff like that, then it really, sparked my interest a lot more. Now, one of the other things that I did like, again, with the cinematography, I mean, a lot of the shots were from the point of view of people, like, looking up and that sort of thing. It gave a great sense of scale of, Godzilla and the Mutos. And then with the Halo drum, him being so close, to Godzilla as he roared, even though the roar itself was muffled as he had the helmet on because you were getting his point of view, everything, but it was just beautifully done. It's one of the things I do appreciate about this movie is the, cinematography is just fantastic. Yeah. And the Halo jump scene also has music cues from 2001 Space Odyssey, which was also used in the trailer. So, I thought that was great choice.
Fun fact about sound and Godzilla and physics, but because this is movies and physics don't mean shit, if he was that close to Godzilla when Godzilla was roaring, his head would have exploded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Literally, because you are putting so much sound into your ear and your brain that it would have literally been too much and your brain could not handle it and your brain would start to burst.
Yeah.
From overstimulation to a fatal degree. So, I gotta say, when they were set dressing that area right near where the brood was, or where the nest was, whoever thought to put that big chunk of debris onto that van, well done, man. You really cared about your job. I mean, they got new vehicles that they got to trash. They had fresh 2014 or 2015s actually that they got to destroy, and I'm like, holy crap, really? And then that Samurai Godzilla coming in, the lightning casting, and you see him just come down and give the biggest freaking roar that scares away the digital Chinese ball thingies.
Yeah.
And it's like, you did it long enough just so you could get rid of those ball thingies, couldn't? Didn't you, big guy? And then the female's like, "Oh God, I just finished, so I'm gonna need like 5 minutes to recharge." No, we're not giving you fucking 5 minutes to recharge, bitch. You're dying here. And Godzilla, he went all in. He grabs her and he just rips into her, and he's pushing her back, man.
Yep.
And that's when the fight began in earnest. And she's like, "Fuck! I can't stop! I'm too freaking weak." Because when an animal gives birth like that, they are extremely weak.
Yeah.
And that's why that battle was so one-sided. But she had a huge adrenaline surge after the male got in. She's like, honey, are you gonna help? So he does come in, and then he's dragging her away, and she gets up and she gorilla charges his ass right into a freaking building. And then he starts screaming at her, and then the male starts ripping into. That's when it starts to become a little pitched for Godzilla, and it's like, I don't like seeing Godzilla hurt, so please stop that. I mean, that's how my brain reacted. It's like, don't do that, please. Because I like Godzilla so much. I watched Godzilla since I was 3 years old, and I'm 36 now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the next shot of that fight while everybody's trying to pull the nuke out, and they can't get to it. They can't open it. They get the nuke down and lowered. They can't open it up. It's like, we don't have time. Let's get it on a boat. It's like, dude, you're freaking out. Knock it off. You're handling a nuke. Maintain discipline.
Yeah, really.
I mean, seriously, when you're handling that shit, you do not want to fucking freak out, because honestly, I think that if a person freaks out around a nuke, they should be shot.
Yeah, really.
Because you never know what might set that thing off. But so, well, Brody's like, I'm seeing all these parasitic babies that are floating around, and they kind of look hungry. So I'm gonna do something that's gonna make sure that these bitches do not live. So he stays and he undoes some gas, and you see a dragon underneath.
Yep.
And then he gets out just a second when that sucker rips or blows. And you see Godzilla. You also see Godzilla like screaming out in anguish because he's kind of getting hurt.
Yeah.
But then when the thing blows up, you see the baby, or you see the mother is like, "Wait, what the fuck? No!"
Yep.
And then you see the male, and it's like, "Wait, my baby mama is
leaving."
Leaving. Like, oh shit, was that our honey? Was that our kids? And it's like, you just gave Godzilla a chance to recoup. Awesome. So she's like screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming because she just saw her babies. Her babies are like dead now, fried, like popcorn. And he smacks up against something and drops some debris. She hears that. It's like, you.
It's the you moment. Yeah.
Then you see that lovely, well, in this case, that lovely color blue.
Yes.
Otherwise, I hate blue with a passion. Otherwise,
yes.
But it's like when the tail lights up blue. What do? You get the fuck out, because boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And you just see Godzilla just like bulk up and just start ripping in with the atomic breath, and I'm like, yes.
It's like, finally.
Yes. This is a Godzilla movie now. And everybody's like, did you see that? And it's like, yeah, I'm seeing a giant fucking dragon breathe blue fire. Shut up. Your argument is invalid right now.
Yes.
As is your entire existence. Shush. And I just loved it. It was just, it's like, oh my God, I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm really crying. And, oh my God.
That moment right there for every Godzilla fan. It's
people
like
were complaining in the theaters because I was geeking out so much.
Seeing that, the blue flame and everything, that brought a tear to my eye.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, oh yes. But then the male had to come in and fucking mess everything up again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she gets knocked down because of the freaking atomic breath. The male comes in, and everybody's finally getting towards the boat, and they turn on the boat, and that just happens to be when the female wakes up, but also the male is having fun with Godzilla, but Godzilla's really getting sick of his shit, so he throws him off. And then he sees that he's coming around for another pass and go at him. And he's like, I'm onto your ass right now. That shot, Godzilla just snarling and turning around. It's like, you think I'm not onto your ass? Here, have some tail.
Yeah.
It's not going to be tail that you like.
Very satisfying.
Yes.
Very satisfying.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, finally, that fucker's dead. Wait, what's that noise? Oh, shit. The building comes down on him. It's like, the scaling in this movie is terrible.
Yeah.
I'm
He's one
sorry,
size, one
but the
minute.
scaling in this movie was bad.
Yeah.
Because that building shouldn't have fallen on him.
Yeah.
He should have been taller than any building in San Francisco. I'm sorry. Well, a couple of buildings.
Yeah.
Most buildings.
Mhm.
Yeah, most buildings. But it's like, yeah, I don't think any building was taller than him. But maybe, I don't know. But anyway, then Brody sees him and he's like, oh, it's one of you little fucks. Oh, I'm going to take a little nap right now for just a few seconds.
Yeah.
So do what you do. So Brody gets down there and
Yeah.
he sees the female is ripped. She's like, you motherfuckers are all going to die. You're
Yeah.
all going to die. Die. And then she's about to grab that nuke and she gets a missile to the face and it's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, what was that? Oh, Jesus. Okay, you guys are good. No, right now. So that gives him his opening to get out there. And he pushes off and he's like, okay, let's get the. Oh, fuck, the boat just turned off.
Yeah.
And the bitch is back. So what does Brody do?
Pulls out a pistol.
Super Brody and pulls out his sidearm.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll shoot your ass. And it's like, and she's looking at him like, I'm gonna eat you in 5 different ways. Imagine a girl saying that to a guy. But anyway, she's like, I'm freaking dead. Fuck. And then you see Godzilla holding on to her. It's like, I'm not done with you, bitch. So she's like, oh my god, I don't want it, oh, I'm fucking fried.
Yep.
Because Godzilla literally gives her the kiss of death instead of the kiss of life.
Pretty much.
It's like fatality.
Yeah. That's why I said.
He holds her jaws open and just goes right down the gullet, man. All the way to the point where her freaking flesh just burns off.
Yep.
That is the coolest freaking monster fatality I have ever seen. That's why Godzilla's king of the monsters, because he kills bitches.
No, perhaps in Mortal Kombat they should add Godzilla to it for that brutal finish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be so awesome if they put him in Mortal Kombat 11 or whatever, or 12. What one are they up to?
11.
Yeah,
I
11.
think 11, yeah.
They should put like a Godzilla size or a Godzilla but human size. Oh, fuck it. But anyway, so yeah, Godzilla gives his roar and then he's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm just gonna sleep now.
Night.
And he just falls over and knocks out the power of the surrounding area. And Brody's like resigned that the nuke's about to go off in a minute. And he's like, fuck it, I'm not in, what, am I in heaven already? Who the fuck are you? Like, yeah, we're here to save you, sir. Okay, fuck it.
Okay.
And then you see the nuke go off. And it's like, yeah, all that and the military didn't kill Godzilla or the Butos. Maybe you should have listened to Sarazawa when he said, let them fight. I mean, like he said, folks, the arrogance of man is believing that nature is within our control and not the other way around. Let them fight. It is just the best line in the entire movie because it basically sums it all up. These are beyond our control. So the next morning, we're in a FEMA station inside of a stadium. Mommy or Brody is with his son, has some crutches, and Sarazawa and Graham are checking out Godzilla. It's like, well, son of a bitch, he died. I thought he was supposed to be the balance of the universe. And then Mommy enters the stadium, and her son finds her, and they are all kissing. Godzilla wakes up. He's like, okay, time to get it. Who the fuck are all these people? What is going on here?
I haven't died yet.
I'm not even dead, and you guys are trying to kill me? Or you guys are trying to harvest my material? I ain't an organ donor. So he gets up and he's like hauling out, and I just love love the Chiron on the TV, King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, well, duh. He just saved. But how many monsters are out there? I think he's the last one, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I just love that. He gives his little victory roar with the planes going by. Pure freaking USA. USA. And so then he just dives in and he just swims off. And I'm like, and when I was in the theater and I'm like, wait, that's it? No. I want more. Give me more. I want like at least an hour worth of Godzilla.
Yeah.
So if you're not, I'm telling you, Legendary, because you fucked up the marketing for GVK. If we do not get at least an hour showtime or an hour runtime of Godzilla and Kong for the hour and 53 minutes that this movie will be, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they better hold more than half of the damn movie's runtime. If they don't, I'm going to be angry. But yeah, folks, sorry I sped it up for GFan there. Because
It's all right. This
hours.
movie is very long, so it's you have to explain a lot to it.
Yeah.
The other movies are a bit more concise to where you will be able to, pick up the pace a bit. But the thing with this movie, and it establishes the first movie of the Monsterverse,
right?
It does. And also, that was actually, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
That pocket in the Philippines was actually a perfect insert for Hollow Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's where Dagon went to die, was actually in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it didn't establish that till Skull Island, where Brooks came up with that idea. But that's how it's connected. Now, the funny thing about this, the Monsterverse, though, is you can watch these movies out of order and you won't be lost, because Skull Island takes place in the 70s, so technically it's a prequel. If you think of it. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters, they do a big recap of everything. So you could watch them at any point and you won't be completely lost. Now, that being said, with this movie, I kind of think they also, another thing that I forgot to mention too, is before this movie, the year before was Pacific Rim, which really revitalized the giant monster genre. And now the funny thing, though, is this Pacific Rim didn't actually do that well in the box office. But yet, then Godzilla came out and it actually did very well. Then
People were sick of Del Toro.
Huh?
Hollywood was actually getting sick of Del Toro. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, but then he went and made Shape of Water, and that won Academy Award.
Yeah, and that also has Graham, or what's her name? The one that plays Dr. Graham in it.
Yeah, Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins has sex with the fish guy.
Yeah.
And it's like
that was the running joke I said about King of the Monsters. I'm like, well, at least she passed away pretty early, or if not, she probably would have tried to have sex with Godzilla at that point.
Yeah, there's so many jokes I'm gonna have about that off end stream. But yeah.
Yeah. No, like
what would you guys give your reviews for, at least of this movie?
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Well, let's hear your guy, this is GFan's channel, so I'm gonna give 2-tier, because I usually do 3-tier for my channel, but I'll do 2-tier.
I do 2-tier as well. So
objective and subjective.
Yeah, so objectively, this movie is probably an 8, a solid 8.5.
Yeah.
Subjectively, this is probably more like a 7.5 to an 8. only because, as subjectively for a Godzilla fan, I was a bit disappointed with the lack of Godzilla, and the movie did drag a bit.
Mhm.
So that's my two reviews.
Objectively, I would actually put it at a 7 because of the pacing issues, the lack of a monster in a monster movie, the writing and the scaling of the monster problem.
Right.
It actually puts this movie closer to a fail than a pass.
Right.
So it's just above a pass. I will give it the pass, but just above it. Subjectively, with bias, I give this movie around an 8 out of 10. Not
Right.
or still good, but not awesome. Because
Right.
again, where is the Godzilla in this Godzilla movie? He's
Right.
only 7.7% in this movie. What the fuck, Legendary and Warner Brothers? Gareth Edwards, I get less is more. That worked with Darth Vader in Rogue One. But it doesn't in a monster movie, and I wish you would have had more regret. Anyway.
Mongo, what'd you think?
Oh, personally, I love this movie. This is again, you guys already know, I was out of the country back way before the trailers came out, so I never had any of these real expectations about a whole Bryan Cranston Godzilla subplot type of thing. So coming back to the States and actually watching the movie, I found it very enjoyable. I appreciate the tone of it, the serious tone. I find the characters to be solid. Even Ford Brody, his character, I thought he was a fine character. He basically accomplished what I personally needed in the movie. Just a solid dude who wasn't annoying per se. He didn't make any dumb jokes about gonorrhea or monsters copulating with each other and all that kind of stuff. Personally, I gotta say this is probably my favorite movie altogether in out of the Monsterverse so far. So I'm gonna give it like an 8.5, a 9 out of 10 for me personally.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Fade?
For me, the movie's at least a 9. Just because the human element was pretty good, especially with Bryan Cranston in it, and, his passing scene was very powerful, at least on that, and. And as well as the monsters, the only thing, like I said, I didn't really like about it was the night scenes were too damn dark in that, and you could barely see some of the figures of the monster fights and everything. But seeing the blue flame and that black though was actually really cool though. That was the only thing that I liked about that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So do you guys think, and they never really said this from what I read and from what I've seen, is they did work very, very, very hard on the special effects. But do you believe that it was dark to mask flaws in the effects?
Most likely.
Yeah, I could see that being the case because
they said they had they spent years trying to get Godzilla's movements right, just the movements. Right. So, that's why a lot of times with his shots where you see the full body, it's from pretty far distance, for the full body shots. But then when you see the close-ups of the face, the head, or just the hand or something like that, it's very well done. But so it's almost like what Orange Hat said, the scaling was completely off in different parts of the movie. So
scaling doesn't work. So the size of the monster, and the surroundings, or you better be good with scale.
Mm-hmm. And so, when it comes to GVK, what's coming out, because it got pushed back so much, and from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks like they really, really tried to, put as much detail into the CGI. think even Krista Nova, who did a review
yeah.
of the trailer, even said the graphics look phenomenal compared to the other ones, and it looks like they really tried to polish that up.
Let me just say, I love the shot, real quick. The shot of Kong with the battle axe and he's like roaring.
Oh
I
yeah.
did a little video on that,
looked
and I'm like,
awesome.
damn, you can see all his fillings in his teeth.
Yeah, basically, yeah, dude.
That was
You would think
beautiful.
that was a real gorilla.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What did Kristen Nova do?
Oh, she had a little trailer reaction.
Yeah, and she
Back when the first
thought the
trailer came
graphics
out.
looked like phenomenal, especially compared with the other ones. Because they're doing more day shots too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I'll be honest with you. If you ever watch a lot of CGI movies, when it comes to day shots, it really looks kind of off.
Yeah.
So, I can see them trying to fix that. But so this is pretty much the end of this stream. And next Wednesday at 9 again, we're going to go into Kong Skull Island. And I'll be honest with you, this one is actually objectively one of my favorites of the Monsterverse. Objectively.
Yeah.
Subjective, it's completely different, but objectively, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. But if you guys want to join me next week, I'd really appreciate it.
Of course.
And
definitely.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yep. So yeah, next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back and we'll be talking about Kong Skull Island, starring Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson, before Captain Marvel. And also Tom Hiddleston, Loki. This has a lot of Marvel. Yeah, actually, the whole Monsterverse kind of it's Yep. So you get a husband and wife turned brother and sister. Then in Marvel, then we got Loki and Captain Marvel and Nick Fury in the next one. So, take that for what you will. Which, by the way, Marvel did have the Godzilla property for a little bit. If you guys don't know this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Marvel versus Avengers.
Yep. And and technically it was never rewritten, so it is canon in the Marvel universe, and that whatever that timeline is for the ones from the 70s, so it's still canon technically. So Godzilla really was in the Marvel universe. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna be ending the stream. Thank you for everyone that came. Oh, hey Jeremy 5, Fresher approved. Hail Mongo, hail everybody. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by towards the end here. And want to tell you thank you again. And you all have a good night. All right?
See ya.
See ya.
Take care.